Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to tell you a few things about why you should run a character using damage conversion. Not really going to get into the details of how damage conversion works so much as point out why you might want to do this. Now, the main reason you want to do this is it's fun. The second reason is it will give you a step into diversifying mastery combinations. Now, if you play something like a Purifier or a Warden, you're going to most likely use the damage that those things come with. The Master is, Purifier elemental damage, so you'll just get gear that does fire and lightning and cold damage, or mostly fire damage, whatever. You'll use supporting skills that buff that, and you will use devotions that contribute to it and put in resistance reduction for the damage type you're dealing. It's all very straightforward. Warder, maybe you'd go with a lightning damage build and you'd get gear and supporting skills and devotions that all feed into buffing lightning damage. Now, with damage conversion, you can play the game for hundreds of hours and complete all the content without ever messing about with damage conversion. But what will happen is you'll start getting items dropped that convert damage and you'll think, what's this all about? And then you'll get into it. Or you'll do a weird mastery combo like this, Witch Hunter, which is Occultist and Nightblade. And you'll think, well, I'm picking Nightblade for the dual wield. I'm getting dual wield from that. Pneumatic Burst is a good skill, it's not damage specific. Sicker Point and Veil of Shadow, why not? No, that's not damage specific. Armor's not damage specific. Anatomy of Murder, oh look at that, buffs vitality damage, but by default your Nightblade doesn't really do vitality damage, so you think that's interesting. Occultist does a whole bunch of different damage types: Chaos, Acid, Vitality, Bleed. So there you go. Curse of Frailty has got a resistance reduction for vitality damage. Bloody Pox does a whole bunch of vitality damage. So you want to be a witch hunter, but you think, well, what am I going to do to get some damage from this? Phantasmal Blades, the skill, does piercing damage and bleeding damage, but it's got a note down here that converts 100% piercing damage to vitality damage. So if you want to get into an easy bit of damage conversion, you can do that, because all you need to do is put 1 point in there and bingo, you've got your damage conversion on the go. Piercing converted to vitality, so all of a sudden that skill's really useful for this character. There's other ways of playing a witch hunter. There's all sorts of different ways of playing all sorts of builds in Grim Dawn. This is an example of how you can use a 100% damage conversion on a skill to fit in with this build that you're doing. And then on your devotions, you've got Wendigo thing up there, vitality damage. You've got this guy down here is chucking out vitality damage. Ratosh is a big vitality damage constellation. Everything else is pretty much just buffing a bunch of stuff or giving me some resistances. So what you got to do if you do a damage conversion, once you convert from one damage type to another, the original damage type, the one that's got converted, you won't be buffing that with anything. It's not gonna get any buffs. So if you have a look on here, piercing damage, I can even find it. Right, so I'm doing piercing damage according to this, which is great, but I'm doing a whole stack load more vitality damage. It's getting piercing damage from other stuff. Weapons are doing vitality damage, all this gear's all doing vitality damage, so that isn't doing any. So if you can have a look at how this works. I've got Phantasmal Blades on there, so if you look on tab 2 at the top, you can see Phantasmal Blades there, 2803 to 3119 on that. And if you look at that, it's doing physical damage, it's doing a piddly little bit of pierce damage, and it's doing a massive amount of vitality damage. So that kind of says it all, really, doesn't it? It shows you what's going on with that massive vitality damage from Phantasmal Blades. If you ever want to have a quick look at what a skill's doing, stick it on your right mouse button, and you'll see it there. I won't say put it on left mouse button, because you can put Phantasmal Blades on there, but you can't put anything else on there. But you can put pretty much everything you want on that one there. You have a look in here and see that go. So that's a basic skill-based damage conversion. It changes the colour of the thingies as well. So there you go. Look, they're like nice pink, vitality-looking things shooting out. So that's an easy one. That's a skill-based one. That's easy to do. I'll get into a little bit more of a complicated one next. Right, next up, this is a gear damage conversion build. It's the cultist yet again. You can do all sorts of things with cultist, barrel of laughs, an inquisitor. Now, there's not a lot of crossover. The basic level between the cultist and inquisitor. A cultist, as I was saying, acid damage, bleed damage, vitality damage, chaos damage. Inquisitor is, you know, it's elemental. It's fire, cold, lightning stuff. So what you've got going on here, you've got a few skills that look like they're doing physical damage and fire damage and cold damage and all sorts. But what I've got is these guns. If you have a look at this, these guns convert a percentage of physical damage to acid damage. But the really important thing here is, if you have a look at that elemental damage converted to acid damage, 2 Blood of Dreeg, what that means is, while Blood of Dreeg is up, any elemental damage you deal, 45% of fire, cold and lightning, is all converted to acid damage. So I got 45% converted on that gun and 45% converted on that gun. That's a flat conversion percentage. You always get that on these weapons. It doesn't change. It's specific to these Ugdenbog venom launchers, and that's what it does. So that's 90% converted. And just to really go crazy, I've got a putrid necklace on that converts 45% elemental damage to acid to Blood of Dreeg as well. So it's like over 100%. So you know that you're going to get all your elemental damage that you deal from any source, from weapons, skills, whatever. While Blood of Dreeg is up, that elemental damage is converted to acid damage. So all the stuff I've got on here is acid damage gear. That belt, the Pack of Deadly Means, that allows you to dual wield weapons. Sticking that belt on means you can wield 2 of those guns. And then on the devotion thing, everything's pretty much, that's acid, look, well, that's poison. There's acid damage and cold damage, but the cold damage, that 1,718 cold damage, so I got a bit of a cough. That cold damage is all converted to acid damage. And there is this thing down here, poison damage, and there's this down here, which has got them 30% poison and acid resistance reduction. Also doing cold damage and acid damage. Again, the cold damage is converted to acid. There's another acid and poison thing, and that's got a flat resistance reduction figure on it. So yeah, so what I've got going on here is these guns pretty much define the build. You equip those guns and you go full on acid crazy, and then any buffs that you've got, any devotions that you've got, are all specific to the acid damage. So once you stick Blood of Dreeg on, that's all converted over. So when you have a look on here, physical damage is 0. If you look at the cold damage, 0, lightning, 0, fire, 0. Acid damage, a massive amount of acid damage with a huge modifying buff on it. So it's, you know, if you go up against an enemy that is like an acidy enemy, Rashalga's a bit of a pain on this one because she's really resistant to acid attacks. So if you're specifically dealing acid attack, you're going to find the occasional boss is going to be a bit of a pain in the neck, but generally not so much. I find this character, well, it's in Hardcore Ultimate, it's been really good, and for a while it was my favourite damage conversion build until I did the next one, which this next one I haven't seen anyone else do this. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't looked, but when you look for builds online, I've not seen this. I'll just load him up for you. Okay, this is a bizarre flipping build. I originally wanted to make a character that had a whole bunch of damage auras on the go. You can see what's happening here. I'm just standing here and these target dummies over here. Well, that one's taking damage. I go a bit closer, the other one will start taking damage as well. Now, there's three bits of gear that I had dropped, but I thought, yeah, you can do something really funny with this. Because what this is it's Inquisitor and Necro. You know, surprise, there's no occultist in here. Now, Inquisitor and Necro haven't got a heck of a lot of overlap. They've got cold damage overlap, and that's about it. So what you've got with these items, first one is this thing that drops around this area, you know, Dunbolgrand, Gloomwald. These leaf mane shambling things will drop this. If you have a look at that, it does, again, this is a vitality damage build. Sticks a whole bunch of vitality damage on Inquisitor Seal, converts 100% of the fire damage that Inquisitor Seal does to vitality damage, and then it adds a resistance reduction to vitality to Inquisitor Seal. So there's that. So that's massive. The next thing, Namadea's Eye. Now this only drops from an enemy. You have to go hostile with Barrowhome to get this from the cellar in Barrowhome. So what I did on this character, I went hostile in normal, got this, and then in Elite and Ultimate I went friendly with Barrowhome, because Barrowhome do some really good vitality augments and whatever. So look at that Namadea's Eye. That's doing stuff to ranged expertise and spectral binding. So it's doing stuff to Inquisitor skills and Necro skills, all vitality converted stuff. So that's, you know, it's for an Apostate. That's what it's for. So if you get that, you can have a laugh. And like I said, I picked this up in normal. Anyway, so that's item 1, that's item 2, item 3. Yeah, you can't target farm that. You can target farm that. You can target farm that. You can't target farm that. I got a blueprint to make that, and that thing rounds it off. More elemental damage converted to vitality, +1 to Inquisitor skills, +1 to Necro, and 100% fire damage converted to vitality to Aura of Censure. So a whole bunch of Inquisitor skills that are supposedly fire damage or elemental damage are now vitality damage. That gun is alright. You can buy a gun from... Have I got it in me? It's probably might be in stash actually. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, that gun there, that Bismail hand cannon, that's what I was using for ages. You can buy that. Just go and buy that gun. It's not a blueprint. You just buy the actual thing from the Bismail store. I think you only have to be honoured to buy that. So you can get that gun. Don't worry about your mythical Morgul's mortality. I mean, it's a decent weapon, but you can get on all right with that thing, that Bismail hand cannon, for a while.
Keep an eye on this.
And what you notice with this is it's really cool. The Inquisitor Seal is kind of a reddish pinky colour now instead of blue. So if you're not equipping that thing and you drop one down, it's blue. That's what it normally looks like. But if you've got that thing equipped, there you go. So the blue one is the normal one. That's the one with the vitality damage conversion on it. So there's another reason to do damage conversions, is you can see cool effects that you wouldn't otherwise see. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to keep this a short one. It's oh yeah, let's have a look at the devos on this. Is mental. Look, you got that thing, vitality damage all over the place on that. Wendigo, Ratosh. I managed to get devotions all over the place, so I got him down there, him up there, and a bunch of resistancy stuff up there, and that thing there. Look at that. That's when you get hit, you deal a bunch of damage, you leech a bunch of health back. This again, this is Hardcore Ultimate. Again, this is my Lokar farmer. We can just go in there and stand in front of Lokar and just face tank him on a build that's, you know, looks about as much like a flipping face tanking build as a bloody goldfish. But yeah, there you go. What I'll do is I'll stick some Grimtools links and some links to actual videos of these characters all doing their thing in the description. But really what I wanted to do here was just say to you that, yeah, the reason why you want to do damage conversion is it's really after you've exhausted the possibilities of non-damage conversion characters, which is going to be your first couple of 1,000 hours in the game. But once you start getting a bit bored of that, you think, well, okay, I'll pick up a few of these weird monster infrequents and I'll do some damage conversion characters. And yeah, I mean, most of the time you can just play around with stuff that you can target farm. Oh yeah, you can target farm that. I mean, that's converting chaos damage to vitality damage, just filling in a bit of a gap. I just did this build a while back. I can't remember the exact details of all this. But like I said, I put some Grimtools stuff in, I put some other video links in, and I thoroughly recommend going off and doing damage conversion builds. What you remember is the conversion takes place before anything else. So if you're converting piercing to acid, there's no point buffing piercing damage with skills or gear or devotions. You want to buff the converted damage type. It's always the case. So the converted damage type is the one you want to buff. So you've got you convert elemental to something. You don't want to be buffing fire and cold and lightning. You want to be buffing whatever it converts it to. And that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed that one. I tried to keep out quicker than the usual ones, mostly because I don't want to start coughing all over the place. I'll get some Elden Ring stuff up soon as well, so people can have a look at me failing dismally in Elden Ring. Thanks for watching this, and I'll catch you all in the next video.